Good morning. My name's Paul. I'm back for another speech. I want to talk about the successful filing for and obtaining a Connecticut state pistol permit. A lot of people don't know how to do this, or they have their own little misnomers about it. So I want to explain and break it down a little bit. I've been in law enforcement for 19 years. I'm very familiar with the vetting process for a permit, the misinterpretation, some that have that only criminals have guns, or guns are associated with criminals. Well, just so you know, in the law enforcement community, we regard pistol permit holders very highly. We really appreciate the fact that people take responsibility for their own safety, because cops can't be everywhere at once. But let's talk about the vetting. Let's talk about the actual vetting process, the process of applying for one. So, residents who have their pistol permit is like belonging to a special community. It's a very exclusive group. Not anyone can just walk in and get a pistol permit. It doesn't work that way. You just don't walk in, and it's not like getting a driver's license. So when I was 21, I went to get my Connecticut state pistol permit. And I thought the process, being younger, not really familiar with paperwork that much, I thought it was a little complex and almost a little scary. Like, I don't know, I don't want to mess this up kind of thing. Well, I did it. Became familiar with the process. And to be honest with you, obtaining a state pistol permit can be complex. But with the correct information of what is needed and expected, the process can go quite smoothly. So let's talk about the process. The process being, you have to find an NRA instructor, which isn't that hard to find, or a pistol range or a firearm store who offer NRA training to get your pistol permit. It's usually a class, small class. You do some knowledge, you take a test, you then go to the range, and then you practice it practically in front of the instructor to show you know the nomenclature, you know how to use the weapon, you understand what you learned. It's not a hard thing, and it can be scary for some people, but it's just a tool. A weapon's a tool. You need an operator to operate a weapon. That's all you need. Okay, it doesn't operate by itself. So to further approach on that topic of worrying and whatnot, let's talk about safety. You'll learn how to handle it when you get a pistol permit. You're going to learn how to handle a weapon correctly. You'll learn what holsters are made to that weapon to buy and use if you want to carry on your person so it's safe. You learn about safe storage, how to store it safely in a locked safe or gun cabinet. And these are just things to keep in mind as you're going through the process. It's not something that you're going to not know about by the time you're done with this training to get your pistol permit. According to THORCode.com, they did a study on gun ownership. Connecticut ranked 32 in gun ownership in the whole entire country. So that's about 75,000 people in the state of Connecticut out of 3.5 million. So a visual aid that I have is mainly you have all of the states. There they all are. On ThoughtCode.com, you can get a copy of this. And there's Connecticut. Hey, we're not at the bottom of the trend here. We're number 32. That's a lot of people. Connecticut's not a big state. That's pretty significant to me. I never realized how many people in Connecticut were at least registered as pistol permit holders. So let's talk about if you get a pistol permit, what is it for? Well, you get a pistol permit, people get it for hunting, people get it for self-defense, to keep in the home, carrying on them, or keep it in the home and carrying on them. People get it for competition. There are competition shoots that people do enter into with their pistol. You need a pistol permit. And collecting. People like to collect. They'll like to collect firearms. You need some weapons, depending on what period of firearm you're collecting. You need a pistol permit because some weapons might be too new, and you need a pistol permit you're going to need a pistol permit to purchase them. So those are a couple of reasons why people would get a pistol permit and go through this process. Again, to reiterate, the training, you'll have your training process beforehand, which is once you're done successfully, you get an NRA certification to show proof you went through the training. And then you need to present this with all your paperwork to your city or town police department when you're applying for a pistol permit, and you have to fill out their paperwork too. But what's needed? ID, birth certificate, I believe social security card, your NRA certification, and then when you apply for your pistol permit with your town or city, they'll give you paperwork to fill out, and also whatever little nuances that they want as well. Everyone's a little different as far as ID for IDing purposes, because they're going to perform a thorough background check. After performing this background check, you're going to have a little bit of a cool down period, like 3-4 months. You got to wait. And then you're advised by your city or town that your pistol permit's been signed off on. You go pick it up. And then you go to a state police barracks that does pistol permitting, a state pistol permitting, or the safety building up in Middletown. And they trade that off for your state permit. You pay a fee. Then you get a state permit, because with your city or town pistol permit, you can't leave the confines of your city or town with a pistol or a weapon. You have to go and get your state permit. You pay a fee, you get your state permit. It's not that difficult, and it doesn't take that long because you've already been vetted. It's quick. According to the American Republican website, pistol permit apps have risen 200% in 2020 in the city of Waterbury. Now, the city of Waterbury is not that big, and for whatever reason, people are getting into this sport. People are getting into being into their own personal protection. They want to be responsible for themselves. This isn't to sway you, and this isn't to persuade you. This is just to show that people are wanting to go and get their pistol permits, and they're following this vetting process, and they're following this process, period. And they're doing it 200%. It's not that hard, as long as you know what paperwork's needed and what's expected of you. So again, not just anyone can obtain a pistol permit. The first thing, the candidate can't have any disqualifying factors about him, meaning his behavior, meaning he's been arrested for felonies, he's got domestic violence issues. You're immediately nixed from the program. You're canceled out. You don't get a pistol permit if you have these behaviors or arrests on your record. It's a big no-no. It ain't happening. If you're good with that, and you have none of that, you're going to need your NRA cert, your ID, and your paperwork is needed. The background check takes place. The cool-down period occurs. It ends. And you get your pistol permit successfully. It's not that hard. And with your pistol permit, you could go to places like Bass Pro. You could go to any firearms store, sporting goods store, and they won't show you a weapon. You can't buy a weapon or ammo without showing a pistol permit and your ID together. You got to show it, or they're not even going to deal with you, because there's tons of restrictions, and it's for safety, but there's tons of restrictions on who gets to buy firearms and things associated with firearms. Ammo and weapons, generally, you need your pistol permit. It's a thing. Don't even bother going if you don't have it. They're not going to show you anything. They'll tell you to go get your pistol permit. So to find the disqualifying factors that could preclude you from obtaining a pistol permit, if you're not sure, if you had an issue back in the day, whatever it is, you can research cga.ct.gov, and a list of disqualifying factors will be found there. And many factors surround serious felonies, period, domestic violence issues. If you're here illegally, I know it's a hot buttons topic, but you can't purchase a firearm if you're here illegally. You have to show that you have immigrated successfully here before purchasing a firearm. It only makes sense. So again, obtaining a state pistol permit can be complex, but with the correct information of what is needed and expected, this process can go smoothly. It's just a lot of it's time. You have to set time aside and not rush the process. Just make sure you have everything the first time and submit it all the first time. Again, in conclusion, getting a Connecticut State pistol permit could be beneficial. You may never do anything with it, but I just wanted to walk people through exactly what's needed to apply successfully for this pistol permit. And if you do, that's great. Although the process of getting a permit and maintaining it can be daunting at times and has its benefits, depending on what you will do with it and stay consistent with practice, training, and safety, will be exactly why you would get one or why you wouldn't get one. But whatever choice that you make, I wish you luck. And thank you for listening to my speech. It's much appreciated.